hero Harold and our lovely heroine Mabel are not with us anymore. But as Steve is interviewing the sons, the older son Terry says that to this day he still thinks about that house every day and what they went through in there. And he actually also believed that if his parents had maybe not gone through the trauma that they did in that home, that they may have even lived longer lives, because his father died of a heart attack at 60 and his mother died shortly after at the age of 64. So, as we discussed, in this home they experienced knocks, bangs, rapping, and then these big blasts. And then a parapsychologist came to the house and recorded about 30 hours of footage of audio recordings with the family. Now, Steve, our investigator, then goes to interview the current residents of the home. And the current residents say that they too have experienced some odd goings on in this home. The daughter said that she always felt like she was being watched, and there was a time when she was in her room and she said it was almost as if someone had flashed a Polaroid. There was this big flash of light above her that came out of nowhere. And then the mom and daughter told another story that sent chills up my spine. They were in their living room and they noticed something in the living room window. What looked like two hands and a face. Two hands and a white face peering in through the window at them. How freaking terrifying. And they still live there. It just makes you wonder, like, how much would you put up with before you would decide to move? Because, like the current residents, the previous residents stayed there through a lot of terrible experiences. So, Steve, our investigator, brings in psychic Cindy Gaza to see what she might pick up. And she doesn't know anything about it. It's one of those things, they bring them in. Oh, what is she gonna find out? And some of the things that she picks up on, fire in the house, she says, but she feels like the fire may have been arson, like just not quite an accident. She also gets the feeling of a woman who is trying to lure her somewhere else, like away from the house itself. And she gets the feeling that the man at the property never found peace, the man that built the home. And she sees a window breaking. And she also gets the feeling of an entity, but she's really freaked out because this entity is not appearing like a regular entity. It is appearing like a shapeshifter, maybe even an elemental, but not necessarily something that she feels like she's dealt with before. And the thing that they're trying to figure out is, where did all of this start at? What caused all of this to happen? So they pull out their equipment and they go to perform an EVP. And the response they get on this EVP is probably one of the scariest, and I'm not exaggerating, it is probably one of the scariest, most disturbing sounding EVPs that I have ever heard. I'm not joking, guys. You gotta watch the documentary, and of course, what does the voice say? What do scary voices always say? It says, "You're all gonna die," but it sounds like a little baby old woman, demented. It was really disturbing sounding, but it was clear as day. It wasn't like, oh, they're trying to make something out of nothing. No, you could tell what it said, and it was around midnight, the policeman closest to the house, and I don't know what they were using. They were using some sound technology, but he could hear the sound of knocking coming from the house. But mind you, they had policemen all around the property, and they did not see one person enter this property. So what was causing it? Now, they need to start ruling out who could be doing this, because if this is something that's not legit, it's wasting the time of the police force. So they took the sons and actually had them take lie detector tests. That luckily they were cleared, because for a minute the police were like, you know what? You have 2 teenage boys. I would not be surprised if one of these boys is just acting up. It was the 70s. I mean, there probably wasn't much to do out there in Michigan. I mean, it's farmland. Maybe they were bored. So, this is when the bigger blast started to happen, around January 1975. And then they also, at this point, began to hear voices. And the older son, Terry, specifically said that he remembered hearing several times these voices that would just come from the hallways. They would come from nowhere, telling them that they were going to kill their family. The voice said it was going to kill his family. These people were literally tortured by this thing. Just like, think about that. Like, you can't even get sleep because things are knocking. You're hearing voices. The house is shaking. Poltergeist activity began. Things were moving. Like, what the actual frick? These people were tortured. And this is between July and January. Like, we're talking 6 months of torture. And, like, how long would you put up with this bullshit before you would leave? I would have been gone. But the family did not want to give up. This is the house they built. Like, they were going to stay and stick it out. That's determination, dude. I would have been like, ciao, see ya, I'm out. So, at some point, they decided to use a Ouija board, and we all know. No, we all know. You don't want to use a Ouija board. It is so dangerous. You have a house that is already just amped up with activity, and now you want to use a Ouija board. Well, they go to use the Ouija board, and the cursor begins to move. The cursor goes to K. The cursor moves to N. The cursor moves to I. The cursor moves to F. The cursor moves to E. And at this point, a knife from the cutting block in the kitchen has levitated into the air and flies across the room. No joke. This is what they say happened. Scout's honor. That's bad. Like, that is a powerful thing. Why did you go and play with the Ouija board, you guys? So at this point, the parents were like, we need help. So they went to their pastor, and their pastor did not want to touch their house with a 10-foot pole. He said, no, go to the interviews him. He's still alive. And he said that he experienced these things in the house. He heard these bang explosions. He saw things move. There was an incident with a pillow that apparently a pillow had come up off of the couch and had gone over Mabel's face and knocked her to the floor, as if the entity was trying to suffocate her. And it took her 2 sons and their 2 friends to actually pull this pillow off of her so that she didn't suffocate. The parapsychologist said that he had used their shower, and after he had used their shower, he took his towel and he put it over the side of the shower, like the little bar, and he left the bathroom, went into the kitchen, and it wasn't long after that they began to smell smoke, and the smoke was billowing out from the bathroom, and he ran in, and his towel had caught on fire. What the frick? It caught on fire just poof, out of nowhere. He said he couldn't believe it. Like, what the frick? There was a second fire. I believe they said happened in the barn behind the house. They didn't elaborate much on that. But the third fire is what they said was the most terrifying. So, at this point, our paranormal investigator, Steve, had actually found the tape recording because the parapsychologist was recording when this took place, when the third fire took place, and he played it for the sons who had not heard this since it actually happened. And needless to say, the sons were freaked out. One of them began crying. I mean, these are like 50-year-old men, and it really, really, like, you could tell it freaked them out. You can hear the mom and the dad saying, "We have to get out," and calling to Dwayne. They kept calling to Dwayne as if Dwayne was not evacuating maybe as fastly as they wanted him to. When the report came out about the fire from the fire marshal, the freaking report, the actual report, said that they believed that paranormal phenomena may have caused the fire. Like, whenever have you heard of police, like, notating that, yeah, the fire may have been caused by a ghost? When have you ever heard that? Like, it's just wild. So, we then learn a little bit more about poltergeist activity, and some of you may know this, and some of you may not, but poltergeist activity usually amps up, and it will traumatize, like, a whole family, and it will feed off of their fear. But poltergeist activity generally will take place and circle around one focal point, one person in the family. The chaos will come from one specific direction, and that person also will generally be the target of this activity. So who was the target of this? You might have an idea by now. So, at this point, Steve says that he's going to go into the house and investigate to see what he can figure out is the cause of all of this poltergeist activity. So he brings pictures of the family into the house, and he begins to play some of these recordings from the parapsychologist because he wants to reawaken what's in the house. Oh, I hate that. And this whole time I'm just thinking, like, what about the family that currently lives there? What about them? I don't know. I would just be kind of pissed if I was minding my own business living in this house and someone came by and was like, "Hey, this house, like, all this crazy stuff happened. Oh, you experienced something too? Great. starts to talk. He's there with Cindy, and he starts to talk to her just about the things that he's learned about the family, and they start to talk about how Harold had died of a heart attack, and that Mabel was worried about the boys. And as this conversation is going on, the REM pods begin to go off, and the REM pods are the ones that they beep if like a spirit is touching them. And at this point, they come to the conclusion that Dwayne, who actually was a suspect for a lot of the activity, remember, the police thought that the boys were the cause of this. Maybe it's centering around Dwayne. And the more that they talk about the family, the more this equipment begins to go off. And at this point, the obelisk goes off. And the 3 words that the obelisk says, now the obelisk is a piece of equipment that allows ghosts to put little spirits or whatever. It's like, it's an energy field reader. And it's supposed to allow spirit communication by putting words onto the screen. And the 3 words at this point that just show up on that screen are sun, wrong, and devil. At this point, our girl, our psychic Cindy, she asks, like, was there some sort of animal sacrifice? Like, I don't know, I just get the feeling that whatever spirit is here to influence over Dwayne, like, but also I feel like Dwayne maybe had a gift, like maybe Dwayne was able to talk to spirits. And as they're discussing this, the activity just continues to amp up. His equipment is just going off, and it's really heavy, so they decide to take the investigation outside. And outside they have a mirror that is facing back towards the house, and they begin, Cindy begins to perform scrying, and that's where you look into a mirror, and the longer you stare into it, you're supposed to see shapes or things, or it's something that's been done for a long time. Bela Lugosi did, like, that was like his jam, was scrying. So as she's scrying, what she says she discovers and sees is that there's something about this land, and maybe there was like cult activity. Now it's gonna get juicy, guys. Which basically what they end up finding out is that there was a commune of people who were living in the woods nearby, and this is according to a police report. And for whatever reason, the police never correlated or never even let the family that was living there know that this was going on. These people were supposedly like out there, and they would dance in the woods and just do weird things, like they were doing some weird shit out there in the woods. So, like, what was going on? Well, now we begin to hear about the witch, because Mabel had reported saying that she was pretty sure that their neighbor was a witch, and Harold said that the man that lived there claimed him one time to be a warlock. And even the son said, you know, there's a lot of witchcraft here in Merrill, Michigan. So at this point, they asked Dwayne, like, well, what about the day that you woke up, the day that you went over to her house? Like, what? You really don't remember what happened at all? And Dwayne says no. And then Steve drops this bomb on him. Well, Dwayne, I got permission for us to get into the house across the street, and what do you say we go over there and see if that sparks your memory? And you see Dwayne just like, shit. Dwayne does not want to go over there, but he agrees reluctantly. wasn't there, and she had this big barrel that she would burn things in outside of her house. It didn't matter if it was raining. It didn't, like, she would go out there all the time and do this stuff, even in the middle of storms. And now it starts to hit Dwayne. He starts to remember some things. And here's what Dwayne remembered. She wore black lipstick. And she was always in all black. I remember now. She brought me in through the back door. And there were scared me. And there were candles in every room. Steve asked, what color were the candles? Do you remember? No, they were all kinds of colors, but they were in every room. And she gave me an iced tea. I wasn't really thirsty, but she told me to drink it. And then she kept saying something about wanting to cut my hair, and I told her I didn't need a haircut, and she insisted, and she said, nonsense, well, let's just do a trim. And at this point I was like, okay, whatever. So then she began to cut his hair, and as she cut his hair, she took a piece of his hair and she put it into her mouth and swallowed it. What the frick? So Steve is hearing the story and he's like, okay, yo dude, it's all coming back to you, like, this is great. He asks him, like, can I set out some equipment? So he puts out this piece of equipment called a geoboard, and a geoboard allows, like, spirit voices to come through. It sounds like another dimension. It is the craziest thing, and I kind of want one. They're expensive, but maybe we should start saving up to get one so we can, like, experiment with one on this channel. I think that would be cool. But he puts the geoboard on, and the words that come out: demon, curse, and Satan. Maybe we don't need one. And the meters begin to go off all around them. And this anomaly shows up on one of those things. I don't remember what it's called, but it looks like stick figures, and so they're supposed to be able to see spirits. And this anomaly shows up next to Dwayne. And then Steve says, who are you? And from the geoboard it says seat. I hate it. And then they start to do an EVP. And he said, like, why are you still lingering? And where are you in this room? And when they play it back, we get another really messed up EVP. Because when it says, where are you in this room? It says everywhere. And you can see Steve get very uncomfortable, and he's like, you know what, we need to stop here. This is way more powerful than what we're ready to deal with. Like, we're not ready for this. This is jacked up. So at this point, we need to call in the big guns. So he brings in Miss Aida. And Miss Aida is an ordained witch and occult ritual expert. And what Miss Aida he gives her the whole lowdown. And Miss Aida starts telling him what she can figure out from that. And she said, well, here's the thing. When she came over and said she wanted to buy the house from him, this witch, from Harold, she didn't want to buy the house to live in it. The witch wanted to stay in her house across the street, but she wanted to utilize their house for coven practices, so that whatever it was that she was conjuring, she wasn't conjuring up in her own home. She wanted shit where she slept. And she said that when this woman was outside never gone back the same, and it is clear as day, this giant circle. Something happened here, and Miss Aida steps in, and she says immediately that she can feel something. The energy is different. She knows she can feel the difference between being inside of the circle and being outside of the circle. And she's pretty sure that this woman may have created a portal here. Then we find out that across the street where this witch lived, above the old garage, there used to be 3 iron X's hung up above the garage. And Miss Aida then says, oh, well, iron deters evil entities. This witch was scared of something. And she says, Miss Aida says, maybe she sacrificed her soul for power. And someone finally came by and said it's time to pay up. And this lady was freaked out. I mean, is that not chilling or what? She sold her soul. And something came to collect its debt. And she also said it doesn't sound like this is just a witch out here doing witchcraft. It sounds like this woman was actually a part of a satanic cult. And perhaps they unleashed more than they had actually bargained for. Whatever it was that they unleashed was out of their control at this point. And Ms. Aida said, I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps this woman saw Satan herself. Oh, shh. So, basically, what we're looking at here and what we're gathering that happened is that this woman began to use black magic to drive the family from their home. And that caused this poltergeist activity to amp up and something to get into Dwayne. And through all of it, the family stayed strong. And this lady was pissed. Like, she was surprised they stayed through all of this. And that was when she went darker. And at this point, she unleashed something that was way beyond her control, that she wasn't ready to deal with. So they put the geoport equipment in that circle in another experiment. And when this is at another point in time after we get the download from Miss Aida. So Steve is in the circle with the geoport, and Cindy is inside the house, and she's doing spirit sketching where she just draws. And when he's in the geoport says Satan the demon, and then it says Cindy, and then it says magic ritual, but it kept saying Cindy's name, and this freaked out Steve, and he was like, you know what, this isn't good, I need to go and check on her. So he stops what he's doing and he goes in to check on Cindy in the house, and Cindy is just drawn this like old woman with this entity next to her, this weird shape-shifting looking thing, and they just kind of know at this point, like, we need to close the portal, and we're bringing back Miss Aida, we need to close this portal with a ritual. So at this point, Miss Aida is like, you gotta close this thing off, it's not safe. And especially now, because they just wound all the stuff back up again, like it had gone semi-dormant. It wasn't terrorizing the current family the way it had with the previous one, and like now you just ramped this stuff up. Now it's pissed. Like, we need to close this circle, especially because going back to this woman cutting Dwayne's hair, basically, like, your hair is DNA, and in witchcraft, it's an essence of you. Any of your DNA is an essence of yourself. And now this witch at this point had basically owned an essence of that kid. And what what we think happened is that when he came home after whatever it was that she did, she's like, that woman probably gave you a potion. She got your hair, she took your essence, she bonded herself to you. And then when you came home, when you had that seizure, that was this entity attaching itself to you. You guys, like, this is supposed to be a real story. I'm not just making this up. Like, I took all my notes because I was like, oh, this is a good one. So, another thing that they find out is that, and this is like a lot of information, it goes back and forth, but basically, the Catholic priest that came to bless the home was also the Catholic priest of the church that this witch went to. What? And there was a Sunday, like, after they went over, like, after the priest had, like, blessed their home, the family actually went to this Catholic church the next Sunday because they wanted to let the father know how it went, so they went for the service, and after the service, the witch was actually there, and she fell into the priest's arms crying after the service, and the priest then went to her house afterwards and was there for hours and hours, and they wanted to know, like, well, what was that all about? And the priest told the family, like, look, I told her that she needed to leave you guys alone. She needed to let go and leave you guys alone. And not long after this, the woman and her husband actually left. So did she have a guilty conscience of what she had done? And then she just left. Did this entity go with her at all? Because she was the one that brought it, like, to fruition. What the frick? You're just gonna make a mess and leave. So, then we see Miss Aida perform a ceremony to close the portal. And here's what Miss Aida does. She first tells Dwayne and Terry that they need to leave because they are way too close to this whole situation, and they just want them to stay and, like, amp up what's going on. It clearly has a hold over Dwayne especially. So she has a song that she recites to keep away bad entities, and she does this within that circle that the witch had created in this portal. And she has Steve hold an iron cross over her, and as you remember, iron repels negative entities. And Cindy, she has hold a statue of St. Michael. And if you know anything about St. Michael is known for kicking the devil's butt. He is my favorite saint by far. Like, that is my saint. Like, I have a tattoo of St. Michael. And she recites this song. And then she takes a bottle of holy water and sprays it all over the ground, all over the circle. And then she closes the circle with sea salt. Closes the circle with sea salt. That's a lot of S's. And then she takes an iron knife and she drives it into the center of the ground in the circle and binds this entity there back to the ground, which it came in the name of God. And that's it. what things, ill will, even something as simple as ill will, if someone just decides they don't like you for whatever reason, those things attach to you. So I burnt one of these candles, and it honestly really changed a lot in my life after burning that. And I don't know if it's the act of it or that it's the symbolism of it, that I felt like I was allowing myself to shed this old skin